Randomania fans and Final Fantasy Randomizer fans, welcome to another match of the Final Fantasy Spring Tournament 2020. I am Sonny Wrath 11, and joining me is my good friend Avos Ruin. How are you doing today, Avos?
I'm doing well, and I'm ready for some more Final Fantasy Randomizer.
Absolutely. Now we have ganonsgonewild versus seeliefae, both 2-0, looking to stay undefeated and become 3-0. Avos, do you have any background on these runners?
Well, taking a peek through their SRL history, it looks like ganonsgonewild is, for the few who might not know, a very prolific Z3 randomizer runner. I think it was more than 600 races in that, but not so much in the Final Fantasy randomizer. So dipping his toes and trying to show the world that he can run them all. On the other side, seeliefae has pretty much just got Final Fantasy randomizer, including playing in one of the Chaos Rush tournaments. So you know, we'll be seeing whether it's all about spreading the experience throughout the randomizers or focusing in on just one of them.
Absolutely. And like you said, ganonsgonewild hasn't done very much of the Final Fantasy randomizer, only has run the 2 tournament matches. But I am letting these runners out of the gate, and we will have them on their way very shortly. These party compositions, both of them I like. Fighter Rainbow and Fighter Thief Red Black.
Absolutely. I think these are probably the 2 most standard party compositions we've seen so far in this tournament. Fighter, Red Mage, and Black Mage are just a pretty solid core, and then a Thief and White Mage are both pretty good utility. The Thief for running away and the White Mage for healing. Ooh, liking that black magic so far.
I am. Ooh, I like this white magic as well. We've got Fog 2, Cure 4, Wall, all at level 1. And then in the black magic, we had Ice 3 and Warp. No need to find Warp on this race.
Yeah, this is really what you want to see. That Wall spell will also be learnable by Knights and Red Wizards, so we're going to have access to them after promotion. Meaning ribbons, we can maybe go without as many of them.
That is very, very true. And since Cure 4 was in slot 3 of the white magic, that is Red Mage learnable. So both of these runners have some very strong magic starts.
Yeah, but it looks like seeliefae maybe wanting a little more health, or maybe wanting a few more charges before going into the Temple of Fiends, just grinding out a level or 2. Meanwhile, ganonsgonewild going straight in.
Getting rewarded with a house in a box from the bottom left.
Come on, this will be fine.
Gets initiative on this large pack of Gurrimps, Gurwolves, Wolves, and Imps.
This is actually a kind of a nice fight to take, I find, because it will usually, jump you 2 straight levels. In the early game, levels come quickly, so it doesn't really matter that much. But what does matter is those spell charges. Ooh!
There's that loose canal sitting up in the top left of Temple of Fiends. Ooh, this is I think a slot 8 encounter for Temple of Fiends, either slot 7 or slot 8. Gurrit Imp, Werewolf. Very good EXP encounter here as well.
Yeah, definitely making up for it. But I usually only want to see one of those myself. Oh, warping out and using the house? That's pretty clever.
I like that play. Now, Garland only takes 1 Ice 3 and then goes down. So Princess Sarah has been saved. The King of Canaria has the TNT, and Princess Sarah has the canoe. We have access to just about all of the world within 3 minutes of the seed.
Plus, getting a dwarf cave check early on while you're still in the inner sea, that is pretty nice.
It is, and here in the armor shop of Canaria, gold bracelets for under 19,500 gold.
Ganon's Gone Wild buying a few more of those choice level 1 spells. Definitely a play I would make. Meanwhile, seeliefae finally made it into the Temple of Fiends. Not quite getting as kind of a greeting as Ganon's Gone Wild did.
Indeed, but since seeliefae has levels, it's going to be a little bit easier. Alright, Ganon's Gone Wild, about to go out to sea and immediately heading towards the Dwarf Cave.
I think this is an okay play. Most people, I believe, go straight to Provoca after dealing with the Temple of Fiends, doing their last bit of shopping in Canaria. But we have that turn in, and there's 2 free chests, which can give us gold for spell shopping. Ooh, and 2 pro capes. Wow.
What is this? Double pro cape already? That's gorgeous.
Right next to each other.
No less. That's both of the pro capes that are in a Final Fantasy Randomizer seed. That's the Oxyale from the TNT. The odds of a double pro cape are astronomically low, especially both of them being right next to each other like that.
seeliefae sweeping Garland out like the trash that he is. Will now get her TNT and canoe.
Absolutely. As Ganon's Gone Wild rests at the inn yet again and heads over. Looks like he's going towards Matoya. I'm not a fan, but I'm also not against it at the same time.
Ooh.
But gets wiped by Fire 2 Kaizakus.
Yeah, that's not fun, especially because depending on how the encounter rarity rolled in the seed, you could end up seeing a lot of those.
Absolutely. seeliefae, though, on her way over to Provoca, we're about to find out what level 2 magic looks like. But first, a stop over to Binky.
Ooh, we got a money stick over in Matoya's cave. That power staff, notable for its price tag in vanilla of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But its price is randomized here, so it could be, something that could sell for a decent chunk of change, or, something that is charged as much as you would expect from a decent chunk.
Absolutely.
Vicky handing out the chime, that's another required item, and one that gives us access to part of a fiend dungeon.
Vicky was just wanting to make some music. He wasn't harming anybody. He just wanted to make some music and be happy.
Those pirates with those Fire 2 Kaizaku still giving Ganon's Gone Wild trouble. Oh, Life 2 and Viz 2 at level 2?
What are we gonna have here in Black Magic? We've got Brack. So that's actually a pretty big plus. Gonna be useful against Kraken 1 and Tiamat 1. But this white magic, Invis 2, Harm 4, Life 2. Oh, just a chef's kiss to it.
Absolutely. Level 2 is probably the best place to see those really good white magic spells, because anyone who can learn white magic can learn those spells. There are no restrictions.
And that is the benefit of the level 2 magic. And I gotta point out Ganon's Gone Wild's gold total sitting at an even 6,500. There's just something that makes me so happy to see an even gold total.
Looks like seeliefae is skipping on Matoya's cave for now, going straight to the dwarf's cave. I think this is the right call here. We've already found the canal, and you know the TNT incentivizes us to go check dwarf cave. We can hold off on checking Matoya's cave until we have the crystal. You know, hopefully.
Absolutely, but first thing is first, bridge boss. So, Avos, with the canal being found, as well as that oxy ale in hand, would you dive marsh at this point just to check the encounter tile, maybe see if there are any loose items? Or would you head to one of the fiend dungeons?
I personally think I would want to get a few more levels before heading straight to a fiend dungeon. And I'd want to get more magic. So I definitely want to hit up Elfland, and I definitely want to hit up Crescent Lake. Marsh, I think the only time I want to check that is when I, you know, either have to, or if I'm feeling like I need to take an early gamble. Especially, you know, when we find the canal so quickly here.
With the research we did on these runners, though, their times are very, very comparable to each other. So they may see a gamble in the cards at some point as well. And that's actually the main reason why I brought up that question to you.
Now, it does look like we're checking the order of, you know, the order we're checking things is a little different. Ganonsgonewild, finding Temper and Nuke at level 5. That, oof. On the one hand, those are spells you really like to see. But on the other hand, seeing them at the same level.
At least it's not Fast and Temper at the same level, though. seeliefae entering Elfland, checking level 3 black magic. We see Quad X, Lock 2, and Hold. Quad X being a power word spell, power word kill, that kills enemies with less than 300 HP. And in the level 3 white magic, that's Heal 3 in slot 4.
Heal 3, pretty great spell, especially this week when we've got ourselves the incentivized volcano. For those who might not know about the spring tournament, each week we are having a different fiend dungeon incentivized. You know, kind of going in theme with the associated element. This being Fire Week means the volcano has an item that we're probably going to need, although at this point it might just be something that's more nice to have. We're getting through so many of those required items pretty quickly.
Did you notice the pricing on the housing market this seed?
No, I think I missed it.
477 gold per house. The housing market is inexpensive.
That is real big. And with that early warp on level 1, you can basically just dive dungeons with impunity.
Absolutely, that gives a lot of potential towards going to Ice Cave this early on in the seed. Even with the Ice Cave being such a dangerous zone right now, it would make a really interesting play.
All right, we've got seeliefae going up to Crescent Lake. Looks like she had a similar plan as I mentioned earlier. You know, check those spells, check the incentive location, and then Crescent Lake is a pretty good place to get levels. Just, you know, taking a few encounters outside of the town.
We do have a slight debate in chat between Heal 3 being the best spell in the game or Life 2 Nuke being the best spell in the game. Honestly, Cure 4 over all of those.
I think there's also an argument for Fast.
Ooh, yeah, there is an argument for Fast as well.
But, you know, for me, I just want all of them.
The Circle of Sages holds the crown.
crown. Kind of annoying since we've already left the inner sea. It's not that hard of a check, and out of everything to get in the inner sea, it's definitely not the worst. But there's always the chance that it could turn into another fetch quest item.
Now, is that a power cycle Pede encounter that I see?
Ooh, I like that, especially if the Pedes are playing nice. They don't always. So far, they look pretty tame, although a little chunky.
Yeah, they do have a little bit of chunk to them. But seeliefae does get that Pede pack down, get some decent EXP.
Yeah, so Pedes are definitely the best thing to take on around here. They give plenty of experience, which is why finding them off a power cycle is pretty good. If we did, that is.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It is notable that there are 4 encounter zones around the Crescent Lake area, so it could just be that seeliefae not looking in the right one.
That's a possibility.
And that's
exactly what it was.
Ooh, and ganonsgonewild finding the Pedes too.
This is gonna be nice. Having both of the runners finding Pedes off the power cycle. Really good encounter to take this early on, especially with Ice 3 in tow. It's gonna give some good EXP.
Yeah, now after a few of these encounters, I really start thinking about heading to one of the Fiend dungeons.
Unfortunately, the warrior has gone down.
Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate. The fighter is one of the characters we definitely want those levels on. They're usually carrying us through the end game. Oh, and ganonsgonewild deciding, you know what? That one Pede fight, that's enough for me.
I do want to say that I think he's going for the crown.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable play. See a few more incentive items. Maybe it affects your next call. Getting a key opens up some grind tiles. So if you'd rather check those, it opens those options up to you.
Absolutely true. And racking up the incentives means more key items, which in turn means more EXP, slight bit more gold as well. And the Pede grind that seeliefae is taking may take less time.
It may take less time, especially because if you decide to go to anywhere else, I think it usually ends up being closer to everywhere except for Earthcave.
I have to agree, but unfortunately that crown leading to the power bonk.
Tomato. It's unfortunate that we find it so early, but it's an item that you really love to have, especially for the end game. A lot of people use it as their winning strategy when dealing with the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
I don't know one of these people you might be referring to.
That's okay. I'm sure I can introduce you sometime.
So seeliefae stocking up on the housing market.
Oh, those Kaizoku have more than just fire too. It looks like they have glance.
Oh, that's a thing.
I don't know if seeliefae has seen any trouble from them yet, and ganonsgonewild, meanwhile, is just really getting the business from them.
Yeah, ganonsgonewild, having seen Fire 2 from them, and now Glance. You hate to see it.
You really do. It's one of the reasons why I usually like to buy a soft or two in the early game. You never know when a stone is going to come at you, randomly. And it's just better to have, that option of, well, at least I can bring my party member back. Ooh, And the fire. Oh my gosh. Oh.
Yeesh. Speaking of those Kaizakus making a strike back with that glance. You know, you said something about a stone flying, and all that went through my head was stone coming through the air, boom! Straight into one of the Light Warriors, and then the Light Warriors turned into stone.
Oof. I mean, the sea so far has definitely favored one of our racers tonight.
That is very true, and speaking of said racer, seeliefae in Gurgu Volcano. Finding a Chimera tile.
That's an okay thing to find, but if it's just the one, I'd probably pass on it. We do have Ice 3, which they're weak to, but you really need to see multiples for the experience to be worth it a lot of the time. At least that's what I think.
I'm actually inclined to agree, and it also helps that Ice 3 does have that max roll of 420, since the Chimera are weak to ice.
Alright, ganonsgonewild, heading to the Onrak continent. First, checking out the Oasis Caravan. There's always a chance the incentive item could, or the vendor item could be there, and so far we haven't seen it.
Yeah, so far, the shop item is nowhere to be found. There is one town left to check.
Before we need to take to the skies. So you're just pointing out tents are only $11. So, you know, whether you need just some cheap save items or you want the full restore on your health and magic charges, this seed has got you covered.
Yeah, the 11 gold tents, that's definitely a dream to find. And speaking of a dream to find, ganonsgonewild finding a really good encounter for Ice 3 here with the Samurai and a Wiz Ogre. Getting level 10 on the 3 mages, level 9 on the fighter as well.
That's really good to see. Looks like he's going to check out the shop just in case. And
there's the bottle for 17 grand.
I mean, it's not quite the same as the vendor item being in Gaia, but it's kind of similar.
It is very much similar. seeliefae finding a lot of peeds here in the volcano.
Well, again, with how cheap houses are, she can always just, you know, after taking several of these fights, warp out, house up, dive back in. You know, I definitely don't mind taking these, although she is really burning through those Ice 3 charges.
And with warp and cheap houses, shouldn't be all that bad, right?
It shouldn't be, but keep in mind, warp is the same level as Ice 3. Oh, and our Hydra is unrunnable.
Unrunnable red Hydras. Hate to see them. But at the same time, decent EXP.
They definitely are, but it looks like seeliefae deciding to use one of those Ice 3 charges, which means she won't be able to warp straight out. That's okay. She can still warp back to the second floor, which is a lot of lava. Oh, in fact, she decides to do it now after checking that chest.
So, question in chat from Dangwoo: what kind of magic in level 3 and 4? Level 3, Quad X, Lock 2, Heal 3. And level 4 had life and lit 3, life being in, I want to say slot 3.
I think slot 3 was right. Of course, with life 2 being at level 2, that means it's red mage learnable 100%. So it's okay if it's not. Oh, we had a wall bat there.
We had out of bounds bat. We had everybody's best friend, the glorious out of bounds bat.
Maybe things will be turning around for ganonsgonewild. Oh, a defense sword.
defense sword, I'd say so. And that's the slab from the robot in the waterfall.
I mean, again, incentive items are incentive items. You know, I definitely don't mind seeing them, but definitely not the incentive item I would have wanted out of water. You know, out of the entire on-rack continent, right? We've got the slab in waterfall. We've got the bottle as the vendor item in on-rack.
And he has just enough gold to buy that bottle. As you mentioned, that bottle as well.
Yeah, but again, neither of those we're really going to be able to get, you know, turn into another incentive until we've got that floater and take to the skies. It's a little unfortunate. Meanwhile, seeliefae digging through the armory.
That's a stick in the armory, as well as a bunch of wolves. With trance.
Wow, I can't believe we haven't seen that yet.
And no sunlock for seeliefae. A wooden shield and a silver shield. That's a flame sword. That's a decent weapon.
Gan's Gone Wild, taking the advice of our restreamer in chat, after buying that bottle, heading straight to Ordeals. At this point, I think it's pretty likely Ordeals is going to have something good for us.
It's either going to be Ordeals, Volcano, or Ice at this point.
We do still have that Thor hammer in the pool, and while it might be early enough to benefit from it, I think I would be a little frustrated personally if, after all that, I still end up with, you know, just a Thor hammer.
I would much rather see an Opal Cheerio.
Or heck, a key.
I mean, that would lead to some key decisions.
I think you've clearly got the jokes on lockdown.
Just a bit. That was solid, though.
Gan's Gone Wild, going through the Ordeals warp puzzle. For those more familiar with vanilla, you might notice this isn't quite the same. We've got the warp pillars kind of shuffled around, so it's a different route each time to actually get to the next floor.
And Ganon's Gone Wild has been making use of warp trick going through Castle Ordeals. I'd like to thank the Hangry Canuck for the raid. Welcome to the Final Fantasy Randomizer Spring Tournament 2020 match between Ganon's Gone Wild and seeliefae, both 2-0, looking to become 3-0, hungry for victory. I'm SonyaWrath11, and I'm joined with my friend Avos.
Also helping us, we've got Cyranus on restream duty, and we've got Jat 2980 on tracking. So big thanks to the two of them for helping us out. Oh, I missed it. What happened to Ganon's Gone Wild?
I believe it was stone poison.
Oof, from the Zombles?
I do believe so. Either stone poison or some more stone abilities, maybe Brack.
Yeah, that is awkward. Oh, and we've got errors on the trap tile.
You know, air's not that bad, but Ganon's Gone Wild definitely erring to the side of caution instead of going danger. And it paid off, but ooh, this pack.
Yeah, mummies and whiz mummies being unrunnable, definitely not what you want to see. They show up in a lot of dungeons, probably the most out of all of, well, mummies especially, out of all of the enemies in the game.
Yeah, mummies have a chance to show up just about everywhere. All right. Ganon's Gone Wild, about to finish up Castle Ordeals. Getting an Ice Brand. That's a nice sword. And
Meanwhile, on the right side, we've got seeliefae going through what is known in the community as the Agama floor. After the armory, this is where most of the treasure in the volcano is kept.
So, Ganon's Gone Wild picks up the ruby from Castle Ordeals. This opens up 2 more checks.
Yeah, I think you gotta go turn those in right away. Without the floater, that ruby becomes very valuable, and it's always possible the floater is even locked behind it.
That is very true, and seeliefae getting some really nice turn order on the encounter she was in.
Oh, Masamune! It
Well,
looks like the treasure in this seed is also on seeliefae's side, not just the oceans.
I mean, we also did just have the Hangry Canuck raid us, so it only makes sense that his favorite sword would appear right now.
Yeah, right now I definitely feel like seeliefae has a bit of an advantage, but depending on what that ruby turns out to be, we could see things, still be up in the air.
That is a very big possibility, and with that Mazda being in such a free location, it's definitely one that both runners will pick up. I'd like to welcome our good friend Wilkliosis.
Lots of people in the chat. We've also got ourselves a Cheesinator and a Tarnin. It goes without saying, but we've also got a Hangry Canuck. It's a great crowd. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining us for this race. seeliefae looting out the Agma room, getting about 900 gold. Nothing too great there, but onto the incentive floor of the Gurgu volcano.
Looks like Ganon's Gone Wild is putting off checking those chests in Titan's Tunnel. I don't mind as long as you remember to check them on the way back.
Now, hopefully, Ganon's Gone Wild does remember to check them on the way back. seeliefae getting into a fight with some Earth Elementals here on the Red Dragon tile. Inside the box, that's just the Opal Cheerio.
Well, at this point, Sarda has the herb for us. Again, not a bad item to get at this point in time. We're still pretty close to the inner sea and the inner continents.
So, Avos, with that herb, I have one question for you. Do you want to go on a fetch quest?
You know what? I think I'd rather do that than have to deal with those Kaizoku anymore.
Ganon's Gone Wild, finding a loose cube in the Titan's Trove.
Oh my gosh!
And the Adamant! Right next to each other. Ruby is gigantic right now.
Whew. I don't think seeliefae has turned in the crown yet, so she doesn't know that that's just going to be a power bonk. Once she does that, and having seen the Opal Cheerio from the volcano, wonder what she's going to do. But she clears Carrie before we even notice, and has already lit her first orb.
Yes, I just saw Carrie on her screen, and then Carrie was gone like that, because that's the power of the Mosmian showing itself.
I think Carrie, a little jealous of all the attention Lich has been getting. As much as we'd like to make fun of him for being a speed bump, at least we're acknowledging his existence that way.
This is true, whereas Carrie just went, nope, we're done. Ganon's Gone Wild picking up level 5 Nuke and level 5 Temper. Unfortunately, not going to be able to learn Temper on that Red Mage since that is going to be locked by promotion.
That's true, but it seems like there's still a decent chance that we'll end up finding the floater and the tail, so we can always get back to it. Temper you don't really need until the end game. seeliefae looks like she took a wrong turn trying to get to Ice Cave.
She did, ended up ending in the landmass just north of it, but Ganon's Gone Wild, giving us Hooray Dwarf, giving us the Adamant turn-in, and it's the Thor Hammer.
Well, we now have knowledge on all the locations of the whiff. That means that if the loose item is anything other, ends up leading to anything other than the floater or the tail, it becomes required.
And with the party that Ganon's Gone Wild is running, that tail may actually not be required if it is loose.
Yeah, seeliefae, a lot of people commenting in chat, and I got to agree with them. seeliefae probably hoping to see the vanilla floater in Ice Cave. That would be really great. Even if it's not, we know that it's going to be useful pretty much no matter what.
Absolutely, and I gotta say I like the play of going into ice, especially with Harm 4 loaded in the cannon.
Ganon's Gone Wild, meanwhile, going to turn in that herb and see what the prince has in store.
Entering Elfland Castle, heading up to the prince's assistant to turn in that herb. Avos, what's the prince gonna have?
Oh, the only real whammy that was left. I mean, tail isn't a complete whammy, but wow, that was not what you wanted to see.
So that means the floater is either loose or seeliefae is about to have it. seeliefae dropping down the hole, going into the menu, casting warp, opens up the loot. Oh no! If I'm not mistaken, we're on a loose floater hunt.
We sure are. At this point, I think it's also fair to say floater is required. Because we have that bottle turn-in and slab turn-in to do still. And we've already seen, everything we don't need. That's nice to have, but you can finish without it. Like, oof.
Yeah, that's a big oof.
And on top of that, think of all the dungeons we still have to check. We've got all of Sky. We've got, the Sea Shrine. Like, so many chests.
There are a lot of chests still available in the game, and there is a question in chat from Homercles 4550. Any big brain marsh play yet? The answer to that is unfortunately a no. There's the crystal from seeliefae. We know that is the other loose item of the seed. We also know what that's going to lead to.
There's only one thing it can. We've already got the rest of our fetch quests out of the way, so it can't even turn into an intermediate step.
That is very true. That's going to lead into the floater, and that will allow seeliefae to get into the air very quickly. Ganon's Gone Wild, though, heading towards Gurgu Volcano, and then more than likely going to head towards ice.
Ooh, we've got someone calling for the crystal leading to the key. Unfortunately, I can't quite make out how to pronounce that. I'll try my best. Q? Q? We'll go with Q. Unfortunately, Q, at this point, we have seen both the loose, the only incentive locations we have left are this crystal turn-in, the bottle, and the slab, and you just can't have the bottle and the slab key locked, or the floater key locked. The crystal has to be the floater, and that means the key and the rod are going to be from the bottle and the slab.
Ganon's Gone Wild has entered Gurgu Volcano. seeliefae exiting Ice Cave. She's ready to get into the air.
I gotta be honest. I like seeliefae's position more right now. She's got a decent chunk of levels. She's already cleared Volcano. And she's got the item which we know will turn into the floater. The cube, she's pretty much gonna have to run into. That's a required item, so she will, check ordeals and then check Titan's Tunnel. That loose, both loose ended up kind of being in pretty straightforward position. So at this point, Ganon's Gone Wild is going to have to run pretty cleanly, I think.
I do have to agree, but on the flip side of that, Ganon's Gone Wild does have an exploration lead right now, with having gone through more places, obtaining more key items, so on and so forth. But right now, seeliefae, if she goes and turns in this crystal and immediately gets that floater, she's going to have a massive advantage just being able to go faster through the sea.
That's very true. We also have Will Cleosis disagreeing with me that Ganon's Gone Wild has a strong lead. You know what? I'm not going to argue the point. The fact is, I'm a newer player myself, but I've learned a lot already. And you know what? For anyone out there who's interested in joining the community, you should certainly feel free to. We've got a program for new players that we call the Duckling Program, and we even have a new Duckling seed. So if you want to get into it, this is a great time.
I'm one of those that came from the Duckling Program back towards the end of 2018. I'd like to welcome Jazz Raptor. How are you doing today? Ganon's Gone Wild, going through Gurgu Volcano. seeliefae back on the sea. Ganon's Gone Wild in the armory. Gonna pick up a few decent armor pieces. And things are going to look good. seeliefae stopping in at Elfland.
For those who are joining us late, I don't think they even know the hype of Dwarf Cave. We had 2 pro capes in the free chests. Gotta say, so far this has been a pretty amazing seed.
Yes, both pro capes being in Dwarf Cave in those top 2 chests was a nice surprise to see. All right, Ganon's Gone Wild is done in the armory.
seeliefae doing some shopping, looks like. Getting some more of those spells. She definitely has charges for level 4, so they'll be a lot more useful now.
Very much so. And she's heading back into the inn and making a quick save, then heading back onto the sea. Ganon's Gone Wild in a bit of a sticky situation with those gargoyles that have stun touch, but is finishing out the hairpin chests no problem.
All right. It looks like seeliefae probably going to turn in those incentives. I got to agree with it. From her point of view, they could always turn into more fetch quests, which a lot of them are clustered around that inner sea. You want to get them all knocked out at once if you can. Remembering she has the crown, and going to see the old man in Northwest Castle.
So I like what Ganon's Gone Wild is doing here. Having Ice 3 queued up as well as Quad X, because the Chimeras have under 300 HP. so they're able to die immediately to Quad X.
I hadn't even noticed that, but yeah, that is a pretty good way to go. Especially because it preserves those warp charges.
All right, Ganon's gone wild. Warping out of the volcano. Gonna go ahead and make a save after getting through that armory. Standing there for a second, pondering what to do. Gonna go ahead and power cycle, head back into the volcano, and dive deeper.
Seeliefae looks like she decided against turning in the crystal. Oh no, we know that's the floater.
Absolutely true. And instead, seeliefae is heading towards Melman to pick up the level 5 magic. Exfer being in slot 3 of level 5 white magic, fairly nice to see. But this level 5 black magic, Nuke, Temper, Bane. And Saber, doesn't matter.
Yeah, to be honest, I'd probably even pass on Bane. Nuke and Temper alone just do so much work. I don't have time to be casting Bane.
Especially with Brack already in tow.
Ganon's gone wild. Going through the Agma floor, we know that he's in store for Masamune. I'm sure he'll appreciate finding that.
He definitely will. That's going to be one of the best weapons for his fighter to equip. Actually, the best weapon for the fighter. One of the best for the knight to equip. And seeliefae is heading towards Castle Ordeals.
As much as we talked about that, getting through that exploration faster thanks to an airship, I think that doesn't really apply anymore. Now that seeliefae hasn't checked that. I can kind of understand not wanting to do the turn-in, but honestly, you're right there. I don't know. It's easy to go back and think, oh, I should have done the right decision, but how do you know it's the right decision? I just like getting those fetch quest turn-ins out of the way. They usually don't take that much effort, and they give you that experience multiplier. But I can also understand the concern that what if it just turns into tail.
Now that's a good point, and I do want to go ahead and point out a good question in chat from WordGooper3. So if I'm going to start messing around with this randomizer, a decent first party to do is probably fighter, black belt, white mage, black mage. That's a decent party, but personally, I'd recommend switching that black belt over to a thief, just so that way you do have the run chance. With your white mage and your black mage, you have access to all of the white magic and black magic. Ganon's Gone Wild does have that Mosmune in hand as well now.
I just wanted to quickly throw out there, another option is actually to run the same party that Ganon's Gone Wild is running. Known in the community as Fighter Rainbow, because you have one of each color of mage. It gives you not just access to every spell, which the white and black mage alone does, but it can give you several charges of a lot of decent spells, especially if the early magic is good. You see it as kind of a staple for newer runners, but you should also feel free to run whatever you want. At the end of the day, running the Final Fantasy Randomizer is about having fun.
That's most definitely the case. Ganon's Gone Wild picking up the Opal Cheerio from the incentive box in Gurga Volcano and ready to go take on Carrie, whom we missed from seeliefae because Carrie just got taken out so easily.
All right, seeliefae finds the ruby. Don't know what she's going to do next. I think it would make sense to go to Anorak. But I think there's also an argument to be made for turning in that ruby. 2 incentive checks at once. Really nice. All right.
Take it, Avos.
So we've got Carrie here. Starting off with a wall cast just to be safe. But Ganon's Gone Wild has been to Melmon and has gotten those nuke charges. So we're going to throw one out there. 256, that's a decent chunk of damage. Showing Carrie a little bit of respect with the defense and that wall. Hit from the Masa 170. Ooh, White Mage gets taken down, but another nuke might seal the deal. And that's it. Carrie goes down.
That carry was paper.
Well, we kind of suspected as much, but yep, that definitely confirms it. Oh, seeliefae might be going for that crystal turn-in, but from the north side. Now this is a heads-up play.
And we have Ganon's Gone Wild heading over to the ice cave. I like what Seelie's doing here.
I like what both players are doing. Ice after Volcano makes a lot of sense, especially if you still have resources. And then a lot of players might forget every once in a while that there are rivers up by Matoya's cave, which means that you can just visit her, from above. So just as we figured out, Matoya had the floater all along.
By the logic of the steed, we deduced that floater was there. And Ganon's Gone Wild has made it to the ice cave. Gonna go ahead and make a quick save outside and then start diving on in. seeliefae, though, she has that floater. She is ready to get into the air.
Yeah, it looks like she's headed straight there. Not really anything else you'll run into along this path, so it's got to be taken to the skies. Ralthian saying in chat, they just need the key and the rod for go mode. Well, seeliefae finally seeing trouble from the Kaizoku.
And did not save after grabbing that floater.
Well, that's a punishing time to find out.
That is a very punishing time to find out. Because Ganon's Gone Wild has made it to the incentive chest, but the incentive chest did not hold the crystal. That was down in the grouping of 6 chests on the next floor down.
Yeah, but I think, Ganon's Gone Wild has seen a lot of whammies so far. When he sees an ice cave, he'll know that loose is required. And I feel like he's got to go through the rest of the chests.
All right, Ganon's Gone Wild making use of the warp trick, picking up the loot from the incentive chest itself, grabbing the extra gold from the other chest, making sure those light warriors are at full health and ready to take on this encounter. And just gonna ice 3 it down, where seeliefae trying to make it back to the Ryukon Desert to unearth that airship. And as our tracker points out, Jat 2980, Ganon's Gone Wild gets to temporarily feel fear, knowing floater might be loose.
Yeah, he might have the doubts in his mind, but again, it looks like he's clearing all of Ice Cave, and we know that means he's going to find it.
He is going to step back onto the Sea Troll Lobster Tile and attempt to run away from it, and he does get initiative as seeliefae enters the air. We'll call it about 52 minutes.
Yeah, she had not checked with Sarda or the Ruby yet. So that means we also know she's going to find the loose cube. So both runners will know that the slab and the bottle turn into required items.
That is very true.
Meanwhile, Ganon's Gone Wild finding the crystal. I didn't see if he even checked that the trap tile chest there. Oh. Maybe not, but I also can't blame him. Question in chat: Should Ganon's Gone Wild search for ribbons, or is he good with his current gear? We think. Absolutely, check for ribbons. You want to have at least one, because you never know when you're going to get ambushed by some kind of spell or status effect. Ribbons are just so useful. You really want to make sure you have at least one. A lot of runners are even, not comfortable until they have two. But at the end of the day, just depends on what you find. seeliefae doing a bunch of turn-ins that we'd already seen on Ganon's Gone Wild side.
Ganon's Gone Wild has finished up Ice Cave, does have that crystal in hand, will soon be able to unearth the airship. Question in chat from Darren Dries: do we have Wall? The answer is yes. Wall has been obtained.
Not only do we have Wall, we've got plenty of it. Wall was one of the level 1 spells.
seeliefae getting the tail from the prince after turning in the herb.
Homercles following up with his question earlier, pointing out that Ganon's Gone Wild has Wall, Defense Sword, Masa, Power Bonk. That's true, and from a sort of more attack-focused perspective, he's definitely ready. But if I were in his shoes, I'd like a little more security on the armor slots.
Yeah, I would love that security as well. Because right now the armor looking a little shy on it. But seeliefae has promoted at 55 minutes, and Ganon's Gone Wild has made it to Matoya, is about to pick up that floater and be on his way into the air to check the last two locations, which are the bottle and the slab.
And now that the routes have kind of converged a little, we can see Ganon's Gone Wild definitely has that exploration advantage still.
Yeah, and with Ganon's Gone Wild only needing those two items to be in go mode, it's very well maybe a close one.
Yeah, I like checking the Cardia Isle chests from seeliefae. On the one hand, we've already found both loose. On the other hand, we haven't found any ribbons.
Exactly, my friend Q, but there are only 2 spots left that the key could be in before Topher, and those 2 spots are Lefane or from the bottle in Gaia.
All right, and we're gonna see what's hidden behind door number 1.
Ganon's Gone Wild has entered Gaia, ready to run towards the lake that the fairy resides at. We shall soon find out what the fairy has for both of these runners.
Meanwhile, seeliefae finally making it to the Anorak continent. I think there's a good chance that she might handle the sea, take care of the sea shine while she's here.
That was the mystic key from the fairy in the bottle down at the bottom of the lake. That's probably a slightly rusted key, but it's still going to work the same regardless. Next up, turning in that slab to get the Earth Rod. This will put Ganon's Gone Wild in go at under 1 hour into the seed.
You know, the Finnish people, they're also into music. I just think they're a little more into drums. So, you know, with their magical drumstick, we can now get in to all of Earthgate. Ganon's Gone Wild now has all of the required items.
I like the setup on that one. That was great. Since they do normally have the chime in vanilla, they definitely are all about that music.
Meanwhile, Ganon's Gone Wild is saying, Mirage Tower, right there. Let's go.
And has decided to not promote. And seeliefae has entered the waterfall. Will soon be greeted with the slab and be very close to go mode.
We got a question in chat from Jazz Raptor. Where is the cube? The cube was actually loose in Titan's Tunnel. Not the incentive chest in Titan's Tunnel. Loose. It was one of the 3 other chests. This has been just kind of a wild seed.
But Jazz Raptor's question was, where is Vanilla Cube, the robot in the waterfall?
Oh, you know what? That is what he asked. I'm sorry.
It's okay, Avos. I've done it many times myself. Ganon's Gone Wild, climbing Mirage Tower, stopping to check these chests, wanting to grab a ribbon for that safety. I gotta say, can't blame him for doing this.
Yeah, I think right now the plan looks to be clear out this first floor, warp out, use a house, and then dive back in. The reason I'm saying that is it looked like he used his last nuke charge there, on his Black Mage at least. I could be wrong. Oh, nope, he's got one more.
So, question in chat from Homercles 4550, what level was fast? So, bad news on that. We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, that means it's probably in Gaia or Lefane. And since Ganon's Gone Wild has already been to both places, he might decide it's important enough to at least go back to Gaia, but there's also a chance he'll just decide, I'm going without it.
With this party, having a crit weapon going without fast would be somewhat useful, but there is a ribbon for Ganon's Gone Wild.
That is huge. It is our first ribbon. We haven't really go-moded any chests. We finally found one. 1 hour into the seed, you know, we've been getting a lot of stuff, but defensive items have not been so forthcoming. And Ganon's Gone Wild, finding one, you know, before seeliefae has, that could actually, you know, be enough margin to make the difference. This, as has been noted countless times in chat, this looks like it could be real close. Oh,
Sky definitely giving goods this time around. Ganon's Gone Wild, leaving Sky, heading towards the Cardia Isles. Avos, I believe it's time to promote.
You know what? I think that makes sense. Checking the first floor of Mirage, seeing what's out there, finding a ribbon. But you also know, going through the rest of Sky, you're going to get a bunch of levels that could help you build up charges on your Knight. We know that the Knight will be able to learn Life too, and honestly, that's just one of the best things to have going through Topher is a Knight that can cast Life too. It just provides so much, you know, security. It's real great to have. I approve.
Oh, Manticores have Blaze!
You know, other than the Kaizoku, it seems like we've been avoiding a lot of trouble this seed. It's not that surprising to see something, because again, we've seen so little, it feels like.
We have not seen very much, which does make me quite worried for Temple of Fiends Revisited, but we'll find out about that later. In the meantime, seeliefae has picked up that bottle and released the fairy, stopping to think for a moment, deciding what to do, and it looks like seeliefae is going to take a dive into the sea shrine.
Yeah, I think that's gotta be the play, right? You're here. You don't really need anything else from the Onrak continent. Just get it done and then never look back.
Ganon's Gone Wild, checking level 7 black magic, checking level 7 white magic in Onrak. Nothing to really take note of in there. Fire 3 was nice, but outside of that, nothing great.
We got a question in chat. How bad was Carrie? Not bad at all. She was doing her best Lich impression, just going down without a fight.
Under 400 HP, I believe. There's some poison coming out. That water, I think it was the water anyway. Looking a little poisonous right now.
Oof, that really stinks. You can see a lot of them in the Topher water floor. On the other hand, on seeliefae, she's had so many unrunnables. Ganon's Gone Wild, who entered the Sea Shrine after she did, has caught up.
Speaking of unrunnables, there's another one of the Red Sea Hag, Wizard Sea Hag fight. And with that, Ganon's Gone Wild has pulled ahead of seeliefae inside the dungeon. And seeliefae might be getting a little flustered from these unrunnables.
And another one!
Alright, both you and I have done it now.
Oh my gosh. I know that if I were in seeliefae's shoes, I would be real tired right now.
I would just be looking at the screen with an absolute blank face saying, really? Come on.
Yeah, I think for the most part, Ganon's Gone Wild has seen the worst ability so far, but he's still been powering through, and that unrunnable, that I don't know how many unrunnables in a row that was. It was probably like 6 or 7.
Absolutely, and take a look at the encounter tile that seeliefae found. That's a multi-chimera tile.
Multiple chimeras, that's nice to find, but to be honest, I kind of wish we had seen that sooner. You've already got decent levels, you're gonna end up seeing chimeras. I don't know if you can see groups of them, but you can definitely see singles of them in Sky. I don't mind taking a few of these fights, but I think I'd probably stop here.
And there's even the possible Chimera-Gimera fight in Topher as well.
Yeah, it is a good encounter with Ice 3 charges, Tarnin. That's absolutely true. Again, though, I don't know how much progress it's getting, right? You can easily get to 24 just by taking a few fights in the Sky Tower, and heck, even in Topher. I don't know if that's necessarily the play right now.
All right, Kraken 1 has been pulled for Ganon's Gone Wild, deciding not to go with Brack strats on Kraken, instead walling the Knight and nuking down Kraken, getting about 450 damage out, and then casting the defense sword to ruse the Knight. 2 hits for 55 damage from Kraken. Nuke comes out from the Black Wizard for 362, and that's going to take down Kraken for Ganon's Gone Wild.
Yeah, I think at this point it's fair to say Ganon's Gone Wild is definitely ahead.
Especially with having all of the key items on lock. Ganon's Gone Wild has a pretty good lead.
Yeah, at this point, I think seeliefae is for seeliefae to come out with the win. Topher's got to be holding something nasty, or Ganon's Gone Wild has to wipe to Warmac on the Bridge of Destiny.
There is a reason why Topher tends to get called the Great Equalizer, so that definitely is a thing. Warmac, if it's unrunnable, then yeah, that definitely runs the risk of wiping Ganon's Gone Wild, especially deep into the Flying Fortress.
seeliefae finding an EXP Pinata fight. Those eyes, real great experience.
That was a Gershark Big Eye tile, or Big Eye encounter, wasn't it?
It absolutely was. I definitely feel a lot better about grinding one of those than... I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can get away with a lot of tiles you can grind.
Ganon's Gone Wild getting an absolutely gorgeous encounter here with 5 Wiz Mummies and 4 regular mummies. That's a ton of EXP, and this is actually a pretty good tile to just farm some levels out on, because these fire elementals have literally no HP. As seeliefae pulls Kraken. Avos, you want to take this one?
Sure thing. Looks like she's gonna go with focus on the Knight strategy, but immediately the hold gets cast on the Knight. A nuke comes out for a decent chunk of damage, but it looks like we may have to go all in on those nukes while the Knight is still down on one knee. We got another nuke out for 162. MDef is holding for Kraken so far. 292 and terminated. Never mind. There goes Kraken.
Over on Ganon's Gone Wild side, you may have seen him pick up the legendary sword Excalibur. Definitely not as great of a sword as the Mosmune, but it's one that does get some good damage out.
Yep, a lot of players will actually opt to put the Excalibur on the Knight because only Knights can equip Excalibur, and then put the Mosmune on something else. And that way they can have 2 melee damage dealers. It's certainly, a matter of preference. But it kind of looked like Ganon's Gone Wild just keeping that Massive Moon on the Knight. Oh, and Sorcerers have Exfer. Well, we won't find what they followed up with, but that could be a little scary.
Alright, Ganon's Gone Wild is approaching the Bridge of Destiny. And as we all know, the Bridge of Destiny has our favorite bot chick, Warmac. So get your Bless RNGs out. We want to see a Warmac. Here we go. First encounter. Runs across some slime. seeliefae inside of Gaia. Soon to pick up the Mystic Key. Second encounter. Gurnaga Air.
That are unrunnable. We already know that they shouldn't give us too much trouble. It looked like Ganon's Gone Wild was able to deal with some earlier. So, yeah, and there they go. Nuke, great spell.
And unfortunately, Ganon's Gone Wild will not see a Warmac today. Warmac was too busy playing chicken. But Ganon's Gone Wild has pulled Tiamat 1. Gonna open up with Wall onto the Knight. Followed up with some Nuke. Nuke coming out, 167. Power Bonk going onto the Knight. Another Nuke coming out from the Red Mage, 386. What is this? Paper Fiends, the game?
These bosses keep getting ready to hype us up, and then they just fall down like dominoes.
With that, though, Ganon's Gone Wild has 3 of the 4 orbs lit. and is ready to go to Earth Cave. These are the lowest rolled fiends I have seen yet.
And keep in mind, both of the loose items were almost free. You'd find them just by going along, your regular checks and checking chests that you'd probably only skip out in go mode.
Yeah, and that's what's making me a little weary about Topher coming up. Topher might actually be pretty nasty.
Well, I think if seeliefae is going to have a chance in this race, that's what we're going to need to see. Ganon's Gone Wild, diving into the Earth Cave. That's going to be the last Fiend dungeon before it's time for Topher. seeliefae deciding to buy those utility spells she might have passed on earlier, especially now that she's promoted.
Picking up Life 2 on the night is a very, very good play, especially when wanting to have safeties. Ganon's Gone Wild, checking a couple chests, looking for another ribbon, but instead finds an Aegis Shield.
Now that is a defensive item that we have been looking for. We have one ribbon so far, and while Wall is accessible, you never know what's going to ambush you in Topher. You never know what's going to come out of turn order. I'd feel a lot safer with another ribbon, but at this point, with how quickly things came around, I could also understand deciding to only check a handful of chests.
And it looks like Ganon's Gone Wild is only checking those chests that we would consider to be greed chests, as seeliefae translates the slab and heads towards Lefane to pick up that Earth Rod and be in go mode at the 1 hour 15-minute mark.
Yeah, I think that's another advantage to Ganon's Gone Wild. He had translated his slab earlier because he ended up getting it before Taking to the Skies, whereas seeliefae, was already in the air, so she was never in the area to get the slab translated.
That is true, but unfortunately seeliefae has one Light Warrior down, turned to stone, as Ganon's Gone Wild approaches a speed bump.
I don't really know what that was.
Yeah, that's a good question. Anybody know what that was? Because, neither Avos or I do. So Ganon's Gone Wild, using that rod, breaking the plate covering the bottom of the Earth Cave, ready to go fight Lich. Taking the bottom route through Earth 4, one that you don't see very often. At the 1 hour, 16-minute, 15-second mark, though, seeliefae has entered go mode.
Yeah, but Ganon's Gone Wild is about to play the xylophone on Lich.
With only one stick to use to play the xylophone. That takes some talent.
There's got to be something that makes you the Warriors of Light.
That is true. So, Avos, we have Lich here.
And there goes
Lich.
Lich.
Lich here.
Oh man, oh my gosh, this is some seed.
This seed is great. I love this seed right now. Ganon's Gone Wild has the 4th orb lit right about the 1 hour 17-minute mark. The adversary, I blinked and I missed it. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, you really could. That was a lot faster than normal.
So, all that's left for Ganon's Gone Wild now is to enter the past break the time loop, defeat Chaos, and call it a day.
You know, it sounds easy when you put it into terms like that, but that could be a huge task, especially because there is so much we haven't seen. I don't think we've even seen anything with Death Touch yet.
We haven't seen Death Touch, we haven't seen any nukes, we haven't seen nuclear.
And you know, there's a few enemies that we haven't seen any of yet, such as Gurmedusas.
This could be a seed with the legend of Death Touch Gurmedusas.
We had somebody in chat calling earlier for nuke Gurmedusas.
I do believe that was our restreamer Serenus calling for nuke Gurmedusas.
No, I was just whistling innocently as though anybody could, you know, wish anything that awful on someone else. But you know, I'd like to see more of this match, and I think if we're gonna see that, we're gonna need to see some nasty stuff.
We'll call it right about the 1 hour, 18-minute mark. Ganon's Gone Wild has entered Topher. Seeliefae, looking to like her third orb, is currently in Mirage.
I did not see if she checked that first floor of Mirage. We know there's a ribbon in there. It's the only one that Ganon's Gone Wild has. Could be important.
I do not believe she has checked that first floor, but hey, there are Medusas. Ganon's Gone Wild, playing that loot, breaking the plate to go down into the back of the Temple of Fiends Revisited, head towards the Fiend refight, and prepare to defeat Chaos to break the time loop.
All right, we're getting through, getting close to the Earth floor. We know that that's where the Gurmedusas can show up. If we don't see something bad from one of the mobs, we pretty much have to. The only thing that could really cause Ganon's Gone Wild a problem is if one of our fiends decides to be a gatekeeper.
And there are a few different ones that could decide to be a gatekeeper. There's Carrie 2, who could potentially be a gatekeeper. The one that we all know and love, Kraken 2, as well as Tiamat 2. Or it could even be Chaos himself as a gatekeeper.
Never feels good when Chaos is his own gatekeeper. He's a pretty intimidating guy.
He is the big boss for a reason. But Ganon's Gone Wild, pulling Lich 2. Avos, my friend.
Oh, you know, it looks like we're going all out on offense. Gonna see if Lich 2 is as paper as Lich 1. He's got a little more bone on his bones. So far, we're just throwing out some pretty cheap spells. Oh, and a crit from the Masamune and 369 damage. Looks like that wasn't enough. Oh, and Tarn has a pretty good point in chat. That means that there's one Fire 2 out of the pool. We've got to hope that Lich was, well, Ganon's Gone Wild has got to hope that Lich was hiding some nukes there, because otherwise that could be, you know, some softballs that we, you know, dodged because they're, you know, all the hard balls are later on.
Yeah, this cannot be called a paper seed quite yet, though, because we still have 4 other bosses. Also, if you happen to have any Agama facts, now's a good time to get them out with this 4 Agama encounter from Ganon's Gone Wild. Seeliefae, though, making it through the Sky Maze.
This is going to be your last chance to see a War Mech, so if you still want to see one, better throw out those Bless RNGs.
Get that Bless RNG as more Agamas appear for Ganon's Gone Wild. Fortunately, Ganon's Gone Wild losing the Black right now. Not in a great situation. Seeliefae running into an air for the first encounter on the Bridge of Destiny.
Looks like those airs not as evasive as they usually are.
And this time, there's not one, but two! And seeliefae not getting a Warmech either, so no Warmechs this seed.
It feels like both players only had 2 encounters on the Bridge of Destiny.
That hero run was a hero run. And both runners did only have 2 encounters on the Bridge of Destiny. Holy cow, you're right. I love the idea from Tarnin in chat. We need a flag that be displayed after a fight into how many Agamas of XP you got. That's good.
Well, and you know, it's another blink if you miss it. Tiamat 1 is down for seeliefae. She only needs the Earth Orb lit now.
As Ganon's Gone Wild pulls carry 2. Ganon's Gone Wild gonna go ahead and start off with walling that knight. Throwing out some nuke. Carry, though, throwing lit 2. That's out of the pool. Defense sword going out onto the knight. Invis 2 coming out. Gonna get those evasion stacks. Nuke coming out from the Black Wizard. 171 damage. Low roll from that. Lock 2 coming out. As well as a little bit of heal 3. And Ganon's Gone Wild trying to decide what to do. Decides on Ice 3, Lock 2. Lowering carries, evasion. Ice 3 coming out for 44 damage. Lit 2 coming out again from carry 2. That's a lot of lit 2 coming out. 5 hits for 146 damage from that knight swinging the Mosmian. This is quite a bit of respect for carry 2. Temper's going to be going out onto that knight. And Ganon's Gone Wild trying to decide what to do. And that's a quad X going out onto the Red Wizard. Ice 3 coming out, 67 damage. As that Red Wizard is just taking a dirt nap. Nuke coming out. There's Bane! And Bane misses the 3 Light Warriors. 5 hits for 383 from the Maza-wielding Knight. Nuke for 210. And carry is still standing. Quad X. But there's a nuke from carry 2. Taking out the White Wizard and the Black Wizard. But the Knight stays standing and takes down carry 2.
A knight with life 2 is all you need. Wow, that was a much tankier carry 2 than anything else we've seen this seed. So, and we've seen a lot of spells. Oh, and Gershark's had Thunder this whole time.
And Wizard Sags have Dazzle. And this could be a wipe for Ganon's Gone Wild. He's got to get out of here. He makes it.
Wow, this is insane.
Oh my gosh. This is a crazy Topher right now.
Ganon's Gone Wild, running low on life charges. A few more, hits like that, and oh no, Stone Poison!
I got nothing. That's Stone Poison coming out.
We kind of knew they had to have something. I think we even mentioned it earlier. I just forgot.
Yeah, we saw Stone Poison earlier from the waters, but this is nasty.
This was the Topher we were looking for.
This is the Topher we deserved. As Ganon's Gone, pulls Kraken 2. Avos, you want it?
Sure. It looks like we're starting off with a lot of buffs on the knight, a defense, a wall, and 2 tempers. So it's going to be about what Kraken starts off with here. Goes for a hit with Poison Touch. That's certainly not the worst thing we want to see. Or not the worst thing to see. So probably still going to be throwing out some buffs on the knight. Nope, throwing out a lock 2. Down goes the Black Wizard. But getting Cure 4 off on the knight. We're still buffing him up, showing this Kraken respect. I think that's fair. Punchy Kraken, very dangerous. Now the red wizard goes down. Thor hammer comes out, but doesn't really do that much. But the Masa hits for 403. There we go. We've got some damage now. Looked like that was a few more hits for 372. More chip damage from the Thor's hammer. Here comes another hit. 364, terminated. Down goes Kraken 2.
Kraken 2, not packing quite as much, but that hit for 910, just oof.
Yeah, I think if turn order had gone a little differently, that could have been real bad for Ganon's Gone Wild. But instead, we see him walking without any trouble at all the way up to the Tier 2 fight.
And outside of the knight having a life 2, there is no more in the tank for Ganon's Gone Wild as he pulls Tiamat 2, tempering up the knight, making sure that knight can do a ton of damage. Blizzard comes out as the first ability from Tia 2. Defense going out onto the knight. This is definitely a dicey situation right now. We're about to find out the Red Wizard does have one charge of Life 2. seeliefae enters Topher at 1 hour and 29 minutes. As Ganon's Gone Wild attempts to do what he can to take down Tiamat 2. A swing, 5 hits for 836. Down goes Tia 2. Ganon's Gone Wild only has one boss standing in his way from being undefeated in the Swiss rounds right now, going 3-0. All that remains, Avos, is Chaos.
Yeah, there's still a chance that Chaos could give a little bit of trouble. I don't think we've seen very many skills from these bosses, so he could have some nuclears for us. But there's a pretty good chance Ganon's Gone Wild has got this.
Ganon's Gone Wild. He's gonna go ahead and make sure everything looks right. He never equipped that Aegis shield, but he's doing so now. Equips the power bonk, equips the Aegis shield, and looks at Chaos and goes, Chaos, your time has come. Getting everything ready, tempering up the knight. No fast available, so it comes down to how evasive is Chaos? How much absorb does Chaos have? And what does Chaos have in his spells? Lit 2 coming out from Chaos, dealing hardly any damage whatsoever. More tempers going out onto that knight as the Black Mage is out of temper. Lit 3 coming out from the Black Mage, 454 damage. Defense sword coming out, but there is nuclear coming out from Chaos. More temper onto that knight as 3 of the 4 light warriors are sitting, or 2 of the 4, I'm sorry, are sitting on a knee. That nuclear did not roll very high. Heal 3 coming out, getting most of the light warriors back up. Lock 2 going out onto Chaos, making them easier to hit. Cure 4 going out just in case one of them did not happen, but Chaos throws out a Cure 4 of his own. So we are back to square one against Chaos.
Well, it's definitely early enough that you don't mind seeing it, but it still means that we really gotta rush him down quick when we start piling on the damage, in earnest.
Indeed, Lit 3 coming out for 47 damage, but Chaos swings onto the Red Wizard, outright killing the Red Wizard with 2 hits for 221. Swing from the Knight, 3 hits for 460. Lock 2 coming out, Chaos attacking again, hitting the White Wizard, dealing 121 damage, dropping that White Wizard down to a knee. 3 hits for 443 coming from the Knight with the Maza and a few power stacks. 2 hits for 150 takes down the White Wizard, and Chaos has Stun Touch on top of that. Morlock 2 coming out. Inferno dealing massive damage to the Black Wizard, but 4 hits for 677 kills Chaos. Ganon's Gone Wild goes undefeated.
Get your GGs out in chat. Ganon's Gone Wild has run a great seed and has come out as the winner of this match. finishing with an SRL time of 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 26 seconds. That's got to feel pretty good.
That's gotta feel real good. Holy cow. Ganon's Gone Wild came into the randomizer and has just been tearing up the spring tournament so far. 3-0, undefeated, taking down seeliefae, who's been in the community for quite some time.
She wasn't that far behind either. She's right now coming up to the carry. She's right now fighting carry 2.
Oh, you want to call the carry 2 there, Avos?
Sure thing. Looks like right now seeliefae is just going for the damage, but out comes the thunder, taking down the red wizard on seeliefae's side. Only the knight with those life charges can bring them back. Throwing out a nuke. This could be dangerous. Out comes Quad X. Carry not low enough for that, and she lits 2 downs the black wizard. Now it's just hold A and pray. As out comes 273, carry 2 goes down. seeliefae can still finish this.
That was a bit of a close one for seeliefae. But seeliefae has made it onto the seafloor as we are joined by the 3-0 Ganon's Gone Wild. GG's.
GG. It sounds like my opponent was pretty close behind me.
They were, but you managed to keep a decent enough lead for a long time that ended up being all the difference.
Huh.
So I took some notes during this match. So I've got a few numbers for you.
Okay.
So your opponent, seeliefae, entered the air at 52 minutes into the seed, where you were in the air at 56 minutes into the seed.
Mm.
So you were just slightly behind seeliefae at that point in time.
Uh-huh.
But you went and got your first ribbon at 1 hour and 1 minute and had all 4 orbs by 1 hour and 17 minutes. And at that point in time, you were about 10 minutes ahead of seeliefae. Then you enter Temple of Fiends Revisited 9 minutes ahead of seeliefae at 118 as she entered at 127.
Is she just opening more boxes than me?
There was a tile that she decided to take a few encounters on in the Sharknado room. It was a triple Chimera tile.
Hmm. Okay.
I think the other thing was deciding to go for waterfall early and then finding the bottle as the vendor item.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, the routing there kind of worked out a little bit in your favor.
Yeah, I barely had enough money to buy that thing.
Yeah, you had it by about, I want to say 600.
Yeah, I was broke like the whole seed. The cabins are super expensive. That was really like screwing me up early game because like, I don't know, maybe I should have just bought 10 of them, but they were like 400 gold. They were almost the same price as a house. So I was really just looking for tents early on just so I can buy 1 million of them because I just felt like it was really hard to navigate with those Kazukus with Fire 2 spam. That was pretty rough for me.
Yeah, they really had it out for you. We noticed them giving you a lot more trouble than they gave seeliefae. She did eventually, get the business from them, but
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I screwed up on the whole save scumming thing. I forgot that the first encounter was actually pretty far in. I think I must have mixed it up with like a practice seat or something, and I could have just been save scumming the whole time.
All right, well, real quick, it looks like seeliefae is coming up on Chaos. She could be finishing this not long after you did.
Avos, would you like to take this chaos?
Sure thing. She's just making sure her preparations are ready and starting off with a Lock 2 from the Ninja. And then throwing out some Invis 2 and defense stacks on the Knight. Yeah, starting off the first round with buffs. Chaos is just punching the knight. Not even for that much damage, but we know that there's still a nuclear waiting right there. Second round, just decides to attack with the ninja and continue with the buffs. Oh, actually, the knight is just swinging in. One defense stack is enough, seeliefae says. And another punch on the black wizard, really reinforcing that decision. But only one hit, it looked like, from the Masa, throwing out some lock 2s now. We really want to get those hits in. And the one Invis 2 and Ruse stack were enough. The Chaos completely whiffs there. More lock 2s come out. We're back to tempering the knight. As the knife is going to keep swinging. Chaos finally brings out the nuclear. Down goes the black mage. 798 damage from the knight. This looks like seeliefae is going to get it. Just continue with the same plan. 299. Chaos goes down. And seeliefae has finished with an official SRL time of 1:39:03. Only about 7 minutes apart. This was a close race.
Yeah, this was a really good race between you two.
Yeah, I felt pretty behind when I found the floater because that was about the last thing I had left.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you about that. So you had put off doing ice for quite a while, and I understand it was also because you kept finding some really good key items, such as the ruby and ordeals, and then the slab, I believe it was, in waterfall.
Yeah.
Had you thought about going to Ice Cave a little earlier and maybe even knocking out Volcano?
Yeah, I normally would do that with like the canoe. I'd go over there and check out like the armory and maybe try to grind on the grind tiles. But this seed with like such bad save items, I didn't want to try to navigate the river system for a while with like no save items. So I was just kind of hunting down like tents so I can get around the seed, and then also just knocking off those waterfall and ordeals items while I was going around. But normally I would head over there.
I can understand that. I don't have a question in mind right now. Avos, do you have a question for Ganon's Gone Wild at all?
Sure. We know that you ran into kind of a lot of dead end items, right? A lot of equipment early on, and how did you feel finding all of those? Kind of at the front of the seed.
I mean, initially I was pretty excited. I was like, "Oh, hey, I got a lot of items." Like everything was just kind of a bust. I was like, all right, this is gonna be the floater. Nope, it's like the chime or something. Like, oh, okay. So I don't know. It's kind of a bust, but with the practice season done, I'm used to sailing for a long time.
And then, how did you feel when you saw that loose cube?
I was like anytime I find a loose item, I'm like super excited. Just like, yes, I found it. I forget, was the other one it was an ice cave, right?
Yeah,
So,
the other one was
crystal.
Yeah, I was happy to find it, but I was also like, somebody might have come here like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, and now joining us in the booth, we've got seeliefae. GG, Seelie.
Oh. She may be having some mic issues and working on getting them worked out.
Yeah, I never really expected to be 3-0, so it's kind of interesting. I'm sure next week I will get absolutely crushed by some tournament favorite.
Well, you say that, but some of the tournament favorites have themselves been crushed.
Yeah, I guess it's rando. You never know.
So, Ganon's Gone Wild, I do want to ask you one question since you mentioned that. Who would you like to get matched up against in the 3-0 pool?
I'm not super familiar with it, but pretty much I think it would just be fun to get matched up against like any of the like top tournament contenders. I don't really know a lot about people's play styles, so it really isn't that. It's not like a like I don't really have any meta game there.
And we would like to welcome seeliefae to the booth. GG, Seelie.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, GG.
It was a close match. You were about to fight Carrie right as Ganon's Gone Wild beat Chaos. Did you ever feel behind it all, or did you think you were doing pretty well?
I figured we were close, but when it took me like 4 minutes to kill off my thief when I should have just gone into C, I think that was the biggest mistake that I made. So after that point, I was a little.
I was wondering why you were pacing around the tiles there. That explains that. You also found the crystal, but didn't turn that in right away. How did it feel seeing that turn into the floater?
I always knew that that was a possibility, but since it's a lot faster to do ordeals from the ship anyway, I figured I should just route it as if it was not floater and pick it up after I do the ordeal.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Sonarath, you've got any questions yourself?
I actually do have one for you, Seelie. So you get the floater after turning in the crystal, and then you wipe on your way to Ryukon and find yourself back at Castle Ordeals. How upset or tilted were you about forgetting to save?
I mean, it wasn't that bad. I was playing risky. That was actually intentionally not saving because I didn't want to heal the thief. I was still trying to kill off that thief. But I didn't expect them to have glance, right?
Eh, that's true. And then you get into the Sharknado floor of C and you find that multi-chimera tile. What were the thoughts going through your head when you found that multi-chimera tile?
They die to 1 Ice 3 about half the time, and I've got 2 Ice 3 casters, so I might as well take it up to 24 and get the extra hit on the Moss.
That's what a lot of us thought you were going for, was that extra hit on the Masa, because that extra hit does do a lot of work. So you're 2-1. You're in a fairly scary pool. You do have the chance of being matched up with a 1-2 or even a 3-0. How are you feeling going into the next round?
There are so many scary 2-1s right now. The first 3 weeks of pairings were all really, really close. It felt more like weeks 4, 5, and 6 of Swiss than weeks 1, 2, and 3. So a lot of the people I'm expecting to see in like top 16, top 8 are 2-1 right now. So it's kind of scary.
Well, we now know that week 4 is going to be Sky Week. What are the both of you thinking about the Sky Week flags? Have you practiced them at all, or is it something you've kind of been holding off and just focusing on 1 week at a time?
I've done a few because I wasn't sure what this week was gonna be, and so I just did a few. But yeah, the only thing I think is like I noticed it seems like a lot of time there's either a late game item or just kind of garbage in Sky, but that's about all I really noticed.
For me, I like going Sky early anyway because the XP there is so good, and the thing that I always do is I get as much XP as possible because I'm very careful. So I am very, very happy to have the randomizer pushing us towards taking Sky earlier for that item, because I was gonna take Sky basically as soon as I was in the teens anyway.
Well, when the canoe's over there, that's gonna be a fun time.
You took the words right out of my mouth there, Ganon's Gone Wild. So I think we should probably wrap this up here pretty quick. So any final thoughts? We'll start with you, Ganon's Gone Wild. Going 3-0, looking at the next round, probably feeling a little intimidated.
Yeah, definitely a little intimidated, but the tournament's just for fun. So I'm definitely having a lot of fun. Thanks for everyone for putting it on and for the restream. And yeah, I wish my opponent luck in the next round.
And as for you, seeliefae, any final thoughts, my friend?
Thank you for the great race, Ganon's Gone Wild. And for all you out there watching who are interested in the randomizer, check it out, FinalFantasyRandomizer.com. It is actually a lot easier to get into than it looks. We have a lot of new player help and resources on our Discord server. So join up, ask questions, and get started. It's great fun to play.
Avos, my co-commentator.
Yep. This was a real wacky seed, to be honest. As soon as we saw those two pro capes in Dwarf Cave right next to each other, I think that was the time to strap in. And you know what? Both the runners, brought us on the seed through a wild ride. It was a real joy to watch.
I do have to agree. This was a very fun seed to watch. You both played extremely well. There were so many highs in this seed overall. Hardly any lows whatsoever, and a couple of very intense moments. I do want to thank the Randomania family of networks for allowing us to have this tournament broadcasted. They have been very helpful in all of this. I'd like to give our restreamer, Serenus, a massive shout out as well. Thank you for the work that you have done in this tournament and will continue to do. Want to give
thanks also to our tracker, Jat 2980. You did a great job there, and your notes were very helpful.
Yes, huge thanks to Jat. Also want to give a big thanks to my co-commentator, fellow person in the tournament, the 2-1 Avos Ruin.
Well, Sonny, thanks. You know what? I'd like to give you thanks as well.
I appreciate it, my friend. Definitely be sure to give the runners a follow. Ganon's Gone Wild and seeliefae. Be sure to give those of us in the booth a follow as well. On behalf of Ganon's Gone Wild, seeliefae, our restreamer Serenus, our tracker Jat2980, my fellow co-commentator Avos, I'm Sonny Wrath 11. Thank you all for watching this tournament race. We will be back with more of this tournament action. This is only the end of week 3. You all have a great evening.